My girlfriend of 5 years introduced me as her roommate at her work party. When I confronted her, she said I was lucky she kept me around at all. I agreed. I even apologized. The next day I moved out while she was at work and left a note that simply said, "Good luck paying rent, roommate." She's been calling ever since. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you for being here. It means the world. But take a look at this: only 8% of people watching are subscribed. If you enjoy these stories and want to support more of them, just one click makes a huge difference. Ever had your entire life flip upside down in a single evening? I have. One moment, I was helping my girlfriend of 5 years prepare for her company's annual gala. The next, I was hearing the word that would unravel everything: roommate. Some background: I'm Noah, 38, marketing director at a mid-size firm. My girlfriend scratched that. Ex-girlfriend Vanessa, 36, is a pharmaceutical sales executive. We met at a charity golf tournament, moved in together after a year, and built what I thought was a solid relationship. We weren't married, but we talked about it. Had names picked out for future kids, the whole package. The problem started about 6 months ago when Vanessa got a big promotion, regional director of sales. Impressive title, substantial pay increase. And suddenly, she was flying out twice a month to conferences and meetings. I supported her completely, took on more housework, rearranged my schedule to fit around hers. Even helped prep her presentations when she was under pressure. Looking back, that's when things began to shift. At first, it was little things. She'd mention coworkers, but never suggested I meet them. Our photos quietly disappeared from her social media. She began dressing differently, outfits and makeup I'd never seen before. When I complimented her, she'd say, "It's what professionals in my position wear." The implication being, I wouldn't understand. Despite my own executive position. Then last month, her company announced their annual gala. Black tie, spouses, and significant others welcome. Vanessa told me the event was employees only. I only found out the truth when I overheard her on the phone talking about what her colleagues' husbands were planning to wear. When I confronted her, she claimed she was just trying to spare me a boring evening. After some back and forth, she agreed I could attend. I even bought a new suit for the occasion. Nothing flashy, just a well-tailored Armani. $3,000. Wanted to look the part. To support her. The night of the gala arrived. Vanessa looked stunning in a black designer dress I'd never seen before. The event was held at a high-end downtown hotel. Open bar. Gourmet catering? I was actually enjoying myself, chatting with other guests while Vanessa worked the room, and then it happened. Her division VP walked up, hand extended toward me. "So you must be the roommate Vanessa mentioned." I waited for her to correct him. I expected, "Actually, we've been together for 5 years. This is my boyfriend Noah." But instead, she nodded. "Yes. Noah and I share an apartment downtown. So convenient for commuting." The VP smiled, made some small talk, and moved on. I just stood there, champagne glass frozen halfway to my lips, trying to process what I'd just heard. "Roommate," I whispered. Once we were alone, she shrugged. "Don't make a scene. Graham's a traditional guy. He values family and thinks workplace relationships are unprofessional. We don't work together," I pointed out. "And since when is being in a committed relationship considered unprofessional?" "You don't understand corporate politics," she hissed. Then she plastered on a bright, fake smile as another executive walked over. The next 2 hours, I was introduced as her roommate or just Noah, at least a dozen people. Each time a little more of my patience chipped away. By the time we got home, I was seething, but still determined to have a rational conversation. "What was that about?" I asked, as she kicked off her heels in the entryway. "Years together, and I'm suddenly your roommate?" She sighed long and dramatically. I was a child who couldn't grasp a simple concept. It's not personal, it's professional. Our relationship status isn't relevant to my career. Not relevant? You invited me to a partner's event? Invited you because you kept pushing the issue, she said as she poured herself a glass of wine, not bothering to offer me one. "Honestly, you should be grateful I keep you around at all." I blinked. Surely I'd misheard. "Excuse me?" "Let's be real, Noah. I'm on track to make senior leadership. In 2 years, my career is taking off. Meanwhile, you're... She gestured vaguely toward me. Comfortable. I'm a director at my company. I reminded her. I make 6 figures. I've supported every move you've made in your career. She rolled her eyes. Your company has what? 50 employees? Mine has 20,000. You're a big fish in a puddle. She took a long sip of wine. Face it, you're lucky I've kept you around. Most women in my position would have upgraded. By now, the words hit like a punch to the gut. 5 years reduced to charity. That's when I realized I had 2 options. I could fight, argue, try to make her see my worth, or I could agree. I chose the latter. You're right, I said softly. I haven't been appreciating your success properly. I'm sorry. She blinked, surprised by how quickly I folded. Her expression shifted, first confusion, then smug satisfaction. Well, I'm glad you understand. I do now, I told her. It won't be an issue going forward. She smiled, satisfied. We went to bed without another word, though we slept farther apart than ever. Left early the next morning for a breakfast meeting, still wearing the diamond earrings I'd given her for our 4th anniversary. And as soon as her car pulled away, I started executing the plan I'd built during my sleepless night. First, documentation. I took photos of everything in the apartment, focusing on what I had bought. I pulled up our lease, both our names on it, but I'd paid the security deposit. Bank statements showing my contributions to joint expenses. Screenshots of my monthly transfers to our shared account, covering 70% of the rent and utilities, because my puddle of a company paid me pretty damn well. Next calls. My bank, my lawyer, boss. By noon, everything was in motion. Then I packed efficiently, strategically. Only what was unquestionably mine. Clothes, personal effects, family heirlooms. I left behind anything we bought together, anything that might be considered a gift to her. I had actually contacted a moving company the night before while she slept. I explained the situation without getting into details. I need to move out while my ex is at work. That was all I needed to say. They'd heard it before. The premium for next day service was steep but worth every penny. The movers arrived at 1 p.m. By 3 p.m., just as scheduled. The apartment was half empty. My home office gone. The living room furniture I'd brought from my last place gone. The expensive entertainment system gone, the original. Artwork I'd collected gone. Even the fridge and washer-dryer combo I'd bought when we first moved in, gone. What remained was a partially furnished apartment, full of glaring absences. Like a smile with missing teeth, I left the bed. She could keep that memory. The kitchen table, the one she had picked out. Her clothes, of course. And the decorative pieces she'd chosen for herself. I wrote a short note and placed it on the kitchen counter. Good luck paying rent, roommate. I've covered my half through the end of the month. But here's where the story turns. I didn't just move out. I moved on with a plan. Remember when I said I'd made calls to my bank, my lawyer, and my boss? Here's what that was. Really about? Call 1. Financial separation. Not just closing our joint accounts, but launching a full financial audit of our relationship. Every shared expense, every trip, every gift. All of it documented, assessed, logged. Call 2. Legal. Disentanglement. We weren't married, but we had shared investments, real estate interests, a vacation property, legal co-ownership agreement for a cabin upstate. Those ties would need to be cut carefully and thoroughly. Call 3. My career contingency. 6 months ago, I was offered a major role at a firm in Chicago, nearly triple my current salary. I turned it down because Vanessa's job was here. Now, I called to see if that door was still open. But what I didn't know then, what I couldn't have known, was that Vanessa had been living a double life. It went far beyond just calling me her roommate at one corporate event. Later that afternoon, while I was checking into a hotel, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Graham, Vanessa's VP. Noah, this is a little awkward, he said. But are you and Vanessa still together? Is thrown by the question and confused as to how he even had my number, I asked. Him, how he got it. You gave me your business card at the gala, he explained. Said to reach out if we ever needed marketing consultation. I kept it. Because honestly, Something about your situation felt off. I told him Vanessa and I had just broken up. There was a long pause. I thought so, he finally said. Look, there's something you should know. The reason I called you, her roommate last night, is because that's how she's been introducing you for months. But that's not all. She's also been seeing someone else, Charles, from legal. The air left my lungs. How open? I asked PDA at the last corporate retreat. Sharing rooms on business trips. Everyone just assumed you two had some sort of arrangement. My hands were shaking. Not just a roommate, but a convenient cover for her affair. This changed everything. My calm, calculated exit suddenly felt too kind, too measured. The scale of betrayal I'd just uncovered. So I initiated phase 2, what I now recognize as going nuclear. Within 48 hours, I had withdrawn my portion of the shared vacation property investment, triggering a forced sale right in the middle of a terrible market. 2, notified our landlord that I would not be renewing the lease. The lease had 60 days left. I paid my portion through then, but made it clear I was removing myself from any future agreement. 3, I contacted HR at my now former company to officially decline their counteroffer. I told them I was relocating due to personal circumstances, and mentioned carefully that my significant other's relationship with someone at her company had made my position untenable. I didn't name names, but I left breadcrumbs. 4, I posted a single, simple social media update, just one line. Excited to announce a big move and a new role in Chicago. I tagged a few mutual friends people I knew would make. Sure, Vanessa saw it. 5, I called my cousin. She works at the same pharmaceutical company, just in a different division. I told her what had happened, knowing full well the office gossip chain would kick into high gear. The call started that evening. First from Vanessa. Dozens of increasingly frantic messages. Where's all your stuff? Are you seriously moving out over one comment? You can't just leave like this. The rent's due next week. Why is Simone from accounting asking me about Charles? I didn't answer a single one. Then came the text that told me I'd hit my mark. They're investigating me and Charles for undisclosed workplace relationship violations. What did you do? Still, I said nothing. By day 3, her tone had completely shifted. Noah, please, I'm sorry. What I said was horrible. We were never just a roommate. Please call me back. I didn't. By the end of that week, I'd signed the contract for my new job in Chicago, put a deposit down on a lakefront apartment, and was getting ready for the cross-country drive. That's when I heard through mutual friends what had happened. Vanessa had been placed on administrative leave, pending an internal investigation. Charles, apparently, had thrown her under the bus, claimed she'd pursued him aggressively. He even showed HR their text messages to protect himself. Her carefully polished professional image was crumbling. The cabin we'd combed had been sold at a massive loss. Her portion hit hardest due to the early withdrawal penalties I triggered. Our apartment was already listed for new tenants. And with her credit damaged from the joint accounts I'd closed, she'd have to scramble. To find a new place to live? 2 weeks after the gala, as I was packing up my car for Chicago, Vanessa showed up at my hotel. The composed executive was gone. In her place stood someone I barely recognized, eyes red, hair unkempt. I wasn't surprised to see her. The hotel. Wasn't a secret I'd used our joint credit card to book it initially. I wanted her to see the charge on the statement before I switched to my personal one. Part of me had expected this moment, but I hadn't been sure she'd actually show. Was this all because I called you my roommate? She asked, her voice breaking. No, I said the first word I'd spoken to her since I left. It was because when I objected, you said I was lucky you kept me around at all. I didn't mean it, she whispered. I was stressed, about work, about everything. I was just showing off for the married guy you've been sleeping with. She flinched. Graham told you. Everyone has, I said. Apparently I was the only one who didn't know. I made a mistake, she said softly. Several mistakes, but destroying my career, my financial security. Disproportionate. And there it was, the moment I realized maybe I had gone too far. Not because she didn't deserve consequences, but because I'd never wanted to become the kind of person who engineers someone else's downfall. My righteous anger had started to rot into something colder and uglier. "You're right," I admitted. "Some of what happened, I didn't anticipate. I didn't know how far it would spiral. Then help me fix it," she pleaded. Talk to HR. Tell them you made it up." "I never talked to your HR department," I said truthfully. "It was all internal, and no, I won't lie to protect you." She stared at me, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "I loved you. You know it wasn't all fake." I closed my trunk. Funny thing about love, it requires respect. And apparently even as your roommate, I didn't earn that. I got into my car and drove away, watching her figure shrink smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror. Chicago was waiting. A new job. A new beginning. It's been 6 months now. My career at the larger firm has taken off. Turns out my skills were marketable far beyond my so-called puddle. I've made new friends. Dated casually, built a life I'm proud of. Vanessa still calls. Occasionally. The latest update from mutual friends? She was reinstated at work but demoted. Charles was transferred to another division. She's living in a much smaller apartment in a far less desirable neighborhood. The designer clothes? Sold off through consignment sites. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. This betrayal and humiliation triggered something in me. Something cold, calculating, vindictive. Other times, I remember her face when she dismissed 5 years together. How casually cruel she was. How certain she seemed that I should feel grateful just to be kept around. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. I didn't just move out, I demolished. The life she'd built on the foundation of our relationship. Was it proportionate? Probably not. Was it what she deserved? I'm still not sure. What I do know is this. I'll never be anyone's roommate again. And if that $3,000 suit taught me anything, it's that sometimes the price of self-respect is steep, but worth every penny. Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. To answer some of the most common questions. 1. Yes, I regret how far things went. My intention was to exit with dignity, not to torpedo her entire life. Some of the fallout was a natural result of our separation. Some was from her own actions finally catching up with her. 2. No. I didn't directly report her to HR. I mentioned the situation vaguely to my HR when turning down their counteroffer. And I confided in my cousin. The investigation at her company began through internal gossip, not a formal complaint from me. 3. To those saying I should have just talked to her, I did. Her response? You should be grateful I've kept you around at all? That closed the door? For some of you asked if I've found someone new. I've dated, but I'm taking things slow. Trust doesn't come easy after something like this. Update, 3 months later. Life continues to improve in Chicago. The firm promoted me after I brought in 2 major clients. I've started seeing someone, a corporate attorney who introduces me proudly as her boyfriend. No hesitation. Vanessa's life has stabilized, somewhat. Through mutual friends, I've heard she's in therapy and working on personal growth. She sent me a long email apologizing. No excuses. I appreciated that, but I didn't respond. Some chapters are better left closed. The cabin finally sold after months on the market. My lawyer handled everything. Proceeds were split according to our original investment. Less than we'd hoped for, but fair. Looking back, I can admit we both caused damage. She, with her betrayal. Me, with my response. The difference is, I can acknowledge my part in it. That's growth, I suppose. And for those wondering, does revenge feel good? Not really. It feels empty once the satisfaction fades. What does feel good is rebuilding, it's moving forward. Realizing your worth was never dependent on someone else's validation. Not then, not now, not ever.